The question is...
Oh, we're on.
Oh, we're on.
Go.
The question is, which two famous people are you going for dinner with and why?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Going for dinner with. Wow.
I feel like I might know. who
You
yours
have
would be.
no idea.
Would I?
No.
I feel like yours would be some GOAT sports star, like Muhammad Ali or like Michael Jordan or somebody like that who's like mastered their mind when it comes to sport. No?
Absolutely
Oh,
not.
okay.
Absolutely not. I'd rather like sit down with like Charles Manson,
Who the fuck is that?
a massive serial killer.
Oh, okay.
Like,
explain.
Just like how interesting, like we watch them Netflix documentaries on like
Yeah.
serial killers. Like I'm obsessed with them documentaries. Like, I'd rather sit down with someone that was like absolutely out of their mind and just to figure out like, what were you thinking? Like,
Yeah, but a fucking psychologist could probably tell you that.
No, I'd like to question him and understand a few things. Like what, and then like someone, like one of the presidents, like maybe Donald Trump, maybe an ex-president, JFK would be good.
Really?
Yeah.
What, so you can find out the secrets of
like I want to know some deep shit. I don't want to sit with Michael Jordan. How was basketball?
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
like no.
You want to...
I want to get, like, if I'm going to sit down with anyone, I'd like to know Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, you want the tea, basically.
Yeah. Like, I've got an opportunity to find some details and some people I want to know.
Yeah.
Who was there?
Okay, that's not the angle I thought that you were going to go.
No, I don't need any more bloody self-help books.
Okay. In a similar vein, I would want to sit down with somebody like Stephen Hawking or somebody that knows secrets of the universe, something to do with the UFOs, some CIA person that knows shit about the world and the universe that we can't know as a human race because it would spiral us and descend us into chaos. Because I cannot die not knowing whether we're alone in the universe. I mean, I know that we're not alone in the universe, but I need the proof.
There was like a CIA document that was just released like the other day about
UFOs turning people into stone.
No, about a Russians went to war with some UFO thing or something like that.
And the UFOs turned them to stone. 20 of them turned them to stone.
I've heard about this story before.
Let me tell you now. Aliens. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm telling you, aliens built those fucking pyramids, and I cannot.
100%.
I cannot die not knowing how those were truly built. Like, they just need to tell us. They've just found all those.
No, they won't. They don't know. They don't know. People don't know.
Okay, the other person also would be Beyonce.
Oh, that is just so ridiculous. What are you going to do? Sit there and fangirl her?
No.
Like, what are you going to say?
No. I would want to know, like, she is the GOAT, and I would want to know, like, what are the things that she does on like a daily and a weekly basis, or the things that she's done in the past that really unlocked a version of herself that just made her who she was. Like, she is so untouchable. No, I think she'd love talking about that.
She wouldn't. You like that was just like an interviewer that goes to like the Oscars. So, what unlocked all these talents in your mind? Like, she'd be like, get over it, let's have a fucking dinner and have
dog shit questions. I'd be like, right, what's your daily routine? Go, tell me now. On and off tour. Like, I want to know.
I couldn't think of anything worse than being at that table. So yeah, just eating dinner. What's your daily routine? Like,
yeah. No, it's got to be.
No,
it's got to be somebody that's a GOAT and somebody that knows deep shit that I cannot die without not knowing.
Or like sitting down with like two world leaders that went to war to understand like what
and I
thinking?
would assassinate them both at the table. I would.
Or you would slap them to death.
Yeah, I would. I can't stand all them lot. Fucking Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un. Like, how are you world leaders? You're literally fucking children playing a game in a
Well,
sandbox.
it's the Matrix. It's just AI. I think it's all just fake. It's got to be, because there's no way this is actually real. There's no way that someone could put tweets out and just crash the market. And you know, like, you're thinking, how is this guy running America?
Yeah.
And he makes decisions on the day.
It's okay, well, this isn't a political podcast, so well, let's not get into that. Be here all day. Okay, so Charles Manson and Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein and JFK.
Okay.
I reckon, yeah.
I'm not sure I'd want to be at that meal.
There'd be more people wanting to know what my meal was like than what Beyonce's daily routine would be like.
I disagree.
No, people would be like, what did you get from her? Like, oh, she brushed her teeth in the morning.
Okay, you need to have some respect to your name.
No. Don't give me about Beyonce. I was with Beyonce when she was black, yeah?
When she was black.
Yeah, now you lot jumped on the Beyonce train a little bit later. Like, you weren't there through the early days of Destiny's Child.
I was there.
No, you wasn't.
I was there. I was young.
There.
I was
you was
young.
there later on. So don't give me the Beyonce. I was there.
Right. Well,
back in the day.
You then lost interest, so that doesn't count anymore.
Well, yeah, she stopped being black. So
right. Okay. What about the whole Lemonade album, where the formation was literally about being black, and it sent people spiraling?
Well, you know.
Pepe.
All right, you ready for today's question?
Well, I just need Pepe to sit down and shut the fuck up. You're annoying me today, and I just need you to sit down and be quiet and rest, okay?
Do you know what? I was listening to our podcast every day on Spotify.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't watch the podcast,
Yeah.
so they don't see Pepe.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like you've got Tourette's halfway through.
Why? What's that?
You're just going, shh, down, no, down.
Yeah, that's
so basically, Connor has a really tiny dog called Pepe. And imagine like the most annoying thing in the world, putting it into a dog, and you're halfway there.
That's Pepe.
And that's
this
Pepe.
Is the only thing that stops him from moving.
Well, yeah, because he's bound to your hands. he physically cannot move.
I'm just going to sit here like this for the rest of the podcast.
Can you imagine like all the dogs you could have got, you ended up with Pepe?
My friend Elliot was like, do not get a miniature pinscher, Connor. He was like, I've had one for 8 years. They're so naughty. They're so hard to train. Don't get one. Should have just got an Italian greyhound.
But why do you wake up and go, okay, how do I make my life like even harder today?
I don't know why I do that to myself. I don't know why I do. Actually, I found out there's something called rooting. I think it's called rooting. And it's basically where you constantly plant roots, and just when those roots that you've planted are starting to grow and be in a really good place, you will then uproot them, and then you'll cause chaos and you'll start again from scratch again. It's like you can't be content in a situation because it feels mundane. You're like addicted to the challenge and the chaos, and so you keep uprooting these roots that you've built and planting new ones.
Horrendous.
I know. When I read that, I was like, "Bitch, that is fucking me."
It's chaos, because when I see you and like I'm with you, like even I get a bit panicky. Like I get panicky that you've got too much to do. I get panicky that you got that and the dog. And I get panicky that you're panicking. So I'm panicking because you're panicking.
Yeah. And of course, I always dump it on you, don't I? Do you remember yesterday I sent you a 3-minute voice note just telling you what I did today? And you were like, why have you just told me what you've done today?
No, I was literally sitting in bed off the back end of an argument with my wife, just chilling finally. And I get this voice note about you telling me every step that you've done this day was just normal work. I was halfway through like, what is he telling me?
I was spiraling, and I needed somebody else to know that I was spiraling.
It was literally like, so what I've done is I've created a folder and I've put these things in here, and then what I'm going to do, I was like, okay. And what do you want? And then on Tuesday, what I think I'm going to do this. I was like, what?
Great.
Yeah, great.
That's really going to help my life.
Yeah. All right. Question.
Yeah, hit me.
I don't know whether my relationship to sex is healthy or not. I can go months without it, and then all of a sudden, I can have too much in a short space of time. And I feel bad about it. I'm slut-shaming myself, but I don't know whether I should be or not. What should I do? I don't really see a problem with having loads of sex. I mean, some people, it's giving you energy and all that, but you know, if you're single if you're on your own, why not?
Well, I don't think there's any universal rule of what healthy sex is and how much sex constitutes that being a healthy sex life. So, it is all down to whether you feel positive enough about it, right? We live in a really sex negative society, right? And, just based on gay and queer people's history, um, inherently, I think we feel a sense of shame about sex, because when we gay people first started having sex, it wasn't, going to tell your lad mates at school, oh yeah, I fingered this bird at the house party at the weekend. It's like,
Well, I fingered this guy.
well, yeah, but you wouldn't go into school and say that, would you?
No.
Because it's you're scared that you're going to
Secret.
get battered, right?
Yeah.
So everything. I remember the first time I ever had sex, I snuck out of my bedroom window at 16 years old, climbed onto my conservatory roof, onto the garden wall, jumped off the garden wall, ran into the centre of town where the only other gay person lived, and had probably the worst sex in my life. I don't even know if it went in my bumhole or not, but I pretended it did. And then I had to like sneak home, climb up the garden wall on the conservatory roof and back in the window. That was my first experience with like that guilt, that panic, that, do you know what I mean? And so,
well, I don't know what you mean, but I can understand.
Yeah, but that's a lot of people's. It's cruising. It is, doing something when you're drunk and like when you're still in the closet and feeling like such shame the next day about it because you're so confused. And so there is a lot of like guilt and shame and tension wrapped up in gay people's sex anyway. And so that probably carries through to later in life. But, we live in a sex negative society where it's all a bit sort of like hush, and you don't want to talk about that. It's a bit uncouth. And like, I think OnlyFans is helping that, I think, slightly and making it a bit more normalized. But at the same time, even that people view OnlyFans as, some people view it as like disgusting and it's like, how could somebody do that and sell their body? And do you know what I mean? So we live in a sex negative society. Then you have sex and you're not sure whether that was healthy or not. So in order to be sex positive, you may think that you having the freedom and the liberation to have as much sex as you want is you being sex positive. But if you're finishing that experience and you don't feel positive about it, that's not you being sex positive, right? And you probably got an unhealthy relationship with it. Now, I'm not.
Why do you, if you're, what are you doing it in the beginning for? Like, if you feel shit after, why are you going then having sex again? Like,
well, the first thing, and I'm speaking from a place of experience here, so I'm not, slut shaming anyone. The first thing you got to do is understand the pattern. You've got to understand, like, okay, so this person, by the way, can super relate to this because this is my sober sex life, what he's describing. But my sex life used to be very different, right? And the first thing you need to do is understand, like, what is the trigger that goes from a period of no sex at all to suddenly wanting it? Like, is it emotional? Is it hormonal? Maybe you've gone on a steroid cycle and it's shot your testosterone up and that's triggering something. Maybe, I don't know, it's your ex text you and it's really rocked you and something emotional has caused you. Is it a distraction, or is it you're actually seeking connection? Is it, you escaping feelings? Is it compulsive or is it controlled? Like, there's like, you have to have so much awareness, I think, around it if it causes tension for you. A lot of people can just have sex and they don't even think twice about it, and I am so jealous for those people. But for me, who's had a really bad relationship with drugs and sex in the past, I question even when I'm not having sex, oh God, is that healthy? Is this a problem for me? Because if I don't have sex for a long period of time, am I suddenly going to be in an environment where there's drugs and alcohol around and I'm going to relapse as a way to suddenly have loads of sex? So I need to make sure that I really schedule sex in, or I worry when I'm not having sex. And then when I'm having sex, I worry that sex is not healthy.
That sounds about right. Two things. Number one, when you were younger and you snuck out to have sex with the only other gay in the village, are you questioning it? But like because I only know things as a straight man, but you're back in the day when we were younger, everything's a bit more like, male, female, everyone's talking that way, you don't really hear about many people. There's probably, I think there's but one gay guy in my town. Just in the beginning, are you questioning whether you're gay? Or do you just know, like, what is that? Because you're going to get, like, nowadays, you're not going against, like, it's just kind of a bit more normal. So you can feel more, you can just probably like feel that way and go, yeah, I'm gay. I know, I kind of understand the feeling. But I assume back in the day, like, that feeling would have been a little bit scary because it's different to everyone else. So like, are you questioning it? Are you fighting against it? Are you scared that you're different to everyone else, but do you even understand it?
I think it's probably different for everyone. For me, I think I knew that I was gay because I think people had told me that I was probably gay because I was quite camp when I was younger. And so you get called gay. And even though you're not out, like, you are aware that you probably are. And so, wanting to have sexual experiences with guy felt like something that I should be doing, but wasn't necessarily available to me. Whereas if you've got a guy that nobody would suspect he was gay, he's never been called gay. And, back when we were sort of like, my generation was, at school and deciding whether they were gay, there was not really social media. And the gays that were in the media were usually caricatures of gays, stereotypes and whatnot. And so you didn't have so much representation to be like, oh, okay, I'm one of them. I see myself in that person, right? So for somebody who was not the stereotypical caricature of a gay person that they saw on TV, they probably were very confused about what they were feeling and was having a lot more tension than somebody like me who had seen myself on television and was friends with loads of girls and was into dance and musical theatre and stuff like that, as opposed to the kid on the football team that's, looking at this.
What, people called you gay before you realised it yourself? Or
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
That's wild.
Yeah, because I was camp and there was,
But what did you not feel like why you felt camp? Like, did that not the question that came into your mind? Like, someone's calling you gay, like, you're gay, and you hadn't questioned that yourself?
I don't think you realize what camp is when you're younger. I don't think you realize that your voice sounds different. I don't think you realize that you've got like feminisms to your body language and stuff like that. I just don't think that I was aware that that's how I was coming across. I was just being me, and other boys were perceiving that and going, he doesn't talk and act and carry himself like me, So I think that they can detect it.
Do you think you have a camp voice now?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, do you not?
Well, I just hear you as you.
I actually saw a really interesting thing that was the gay voice is an actual thing. And I'm going to absolutely murder this, but if I could encapsulate it, basically they've studied loads of people with a gay voice in inverted commas. There's certain vowels that we over pronounce that our straight counterparts don't, and they think that what that is something that we develop subconsciously as a way of letting other people know who we are. So
that's mental.
linguists basically, they see, and by the way, this gay voice is in all languages and all cultures around the world, right? And apparently linguists say that all of us, a prime example, like rude boys who speak in a certain way,
let people know, like,
let people know that
from.
they're hard and you know what neck of the woods they're from and stuff like that. Like, we translate so much about our identity through the way that we speak, and so apparently from a young age we just adopt that.
I suppose that's like, I mean, we're from the question, but I'll bring it back in a sec. I suppose that's like with a lot of people, even like women and how they identify as girly girls, you know, a little bit more, you know, masculine. Like, I can imagine the tone of voice, because I changed my tone around white people and black people because I know I need to change how I talk a little bit to like where I speak to my mates back home. So I can imagine that is a thing. That's very interesting. And second question, I feel, are you sexually active at the minute?
Okay, so this is why this question is actually quite relevant for me right now, because last time I had sex was September last year.
Jesus.
After I broke up with my boyfriend, had like a 2-week sort of like rebound situation.
Sorry, September. What?
Yes. Still haven't had a penetration since then. But you know, there's been other things that have happened. But anyway, I've had Grindr on my phone since New Year's Eve, and I'd not opened it until this week actually. And the reason why was because I was like, I feel like I need to make time for sex and I need to schedule it in and I need to be more sexually active, because I know my history with sex and I know that it's something that I do want. And I just think I need to have, I think that you need to define what a healthy sex life is for you and what you would like to have in your life. And if your current way of having sex or not having sex isn't in alignment with that, then some work needs to be done. And I just thought, as much as it's not a bad thing to go months and months and months without sex, I don't want to. I want to have regular sex. And so, not regular as in like every single week, but I just would like to make time for it. And I wasn't. And so I did this week. And the first experience was really good, and I'm glad that I went through with it.
This week?
Yeah. But then the second one, because twice in 1 week, it was the opposite. So I'd opened a can of worms and I'd gone, oh my God, see, I do really enjoy it when I have sex and I make time for it. And what was I being so anxious about? There was nothing to worry about. And then, you know, the second time I didn't, because I was too sloppy with my sort of due diligence beforehand, right? And I actually didn't feel a connection and I wasn't into it. And, you know, it was a bit like, oh God, can you just get out? You know,
so why don't you, so if let's say I'm single, yeah? I got no wife. I'm going to meet someone on a date, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take them out for a lunch or dinner or drink.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, I'm thinking, okay, I would like to have sex with this person or not.
Yeah.
Then I make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm going to pursue this or not, yeah?
Yeah.
Why not try that route rather than just be like, hey, you want to come over for a quick...
yes.
Because then, like, at that point, it's like, kind of feel obliged to go through with it, even though I'm not feeling you.
Well, there's two approaches to that. So one, yes, I think that for me, connection plays a way bigger role in my sex life now than it used to. You know, to get a bit dark, there were times when I would be lying on my back, looking at the ceiling, so exhausted from being up for so many days, thinking, I don't even know who this is that's fucking me or what their name is. And I don't even want them to be fucking me, but not even having the energy to push them off me. So going from like sleeping with complete strangers, to suddenly then, you know, going to having almost a no sex life whatsoever. I need to have sex with a connection now, which is why I haven't, you know, had any penetration since September, because I'm a bit more like a side now, right? A side, so you got top, bottom, verse, side is basically no penetration. And I'm not a side, but I've been behaving more like a side, because even though I've had sexual encounters, like the anxiety of going through penetration with somebody that I don't know or haven't got a connection with is like triggering for me. It makes me feel like I'm not in the moment. I'm like zoned out. My eyes are glazed over, because I am so overthinking it based on my history with sex. So I should be doing that, yes. But then you've got this other aspect of kink and desire, right? So something that might really, really turn somebody on is anon, which means leaving your front door unlocked, somebody coming over, you know, opening the door, you're in the bedroom waiting, do whatever, you know, your kink is, and then them leaving again and not knowing the name. So it's not as simple as just go on a coffee with somebody beforehand, because then you've also got this second layer of like, yes, I want to potentially have a connection with someone. No, I don't want to have a connection with somebody. And actually my kink and my desire is this. So,
but your kink and your desire is too much of a risk. Too much. You're rolling the dice, because yes, you don't want to know their name, and you know you want to just kind of have that little thing and then move on. But at the same time, you're telling me that you didn't feel a connection. So, which one is it?
Well, that's the work that you need to do. You need to think like, why do I want sex? Is it because I want connection, or is it because I want sort of distraction? And for some people, connection could be anon, you know, really leaning into their kinks and their desires. For some people, connection can look very different. So like, what is your motivation behind having sex? And that is something that I like have to think about, because for me, like, having a hookup isn't as simple as like, oh, okay, well, that was hot, that was not, forget about it. For me, it's like, you know, is this the beginning of a relapse? Where could this take me? You know, I have to be really conscious about how I have sex and who I have sex with and my motivations behind it and whatnot, because it's a dangerous game for me to play.
I would, my advice to you would be try a different approach. I would start dating. I know that might be not what you want to do, but I would think what I'm hearing, I would say going on a date and having a connection of like some sort, even if you go on a date with 10 people and then 5 of them stay in your book that you don't know too much about, but you know, you can get a quickie whenever you need. And also reframing, you know, what I did with my relationship, which a lot of straight people, you know, probably don't speak about sex as half as much as they should. Luckily, I've done a lot of therapy around it. Like, what is sex? Like, sex doesn't always have to be penetration. Sex could be blowjob, going down on someone, you know, foreplay, hand job, you touching yourself, me touching myself at the same time from the other side of the room. It could be many, many things. You touching yourself while I watch. If you start to think about what sex is, and all of a sudden you've got so many different versions of sex where actually just going straight into like that penetration stuff is sometimes one, the effort around it, especially for gay guys, they might need to prepare and stuff like that. But even for a straight couple, it's like, is a lot of effort behind that. Sometimes you don't want that. And sometimes you've got to look at the different versions of sex. Sometimes it could be passionate, quickie, just, you know, get it done kind of thing. And if you start to understand it a bit more, you're not just looking for this one thing. And that one thing of like, oh, I need to be penetrated and I need to love eyes and I need to be feeling amazing about it. Then it's like, there's so many different versions. You might just want a blowjob. That might be your sex.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. And you know, that it does appeal to me more because I don't feel like I have to have as much of a connection with somebody to go through a version of sex that's not penetration.
Mm.
And so that's why I think that I haven't been penetrated or penetrated someone since September, because that for me isn't the be all and end all when it comes to sex. And I think that is reserved now for somebody that I have a connection with. But you said about dating. I dated somebody recently, went on 3 dates. I didn't enjoy the process of dating again, because obviously broke up with my boyfriend in September. I don't want to date. I do not want to be in a relationship, right? And so with dating, then there's a conversation that has to come of like ethics. Like, are you dating this person for a relationship? Are you dating them just to get kind of sex? And you don't want to say, by the way, on the first date, I'm not looking for a boyfriend. I'm only dating you so that I can have sex with you, you know? And so I ended up like not actually having sex with him, even though I could have done, because I was worried that I was going to have sex with him and then instantly lose interest and ghost him. And I didn't want that. And so I tried to have a conversation that was like, bit beating around the bush about like relationship history and so that I could translate that I broke up with my boyfriend in September, and so, you know, I'm not necessarily looking for a boyfriend kind of thing, but I just absolutely murdered the conversation because it was like I wasn't direct. I was beating around the bush.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just don't want to date. I just do not want to date in the minute, because I just don't want to be in that position where I'm potentially going on a date with somebody who wants more and I'm just in it for one thing. So even then you have to be like super transparent, like from the get-go with why you're dating someone.
You've got to be a bit more direct. You've got to be like, here's where I'm at and here's what I'm looking for. That's why the first date needs to be just going for a walk and a coffee, where it's low investment. And it's just like, hey, I just want to let you know where I'm at. Like, I'm looking for a great friendship. We can have nice chats, but really just have sex and, you know, not get too crazy about it. There's many people out there that are looking for something similar, where you can just be friends with benefits. Like, it doesn't always have to be overthought. And I think with you being a people pleaser, you're also thinking about everyone else's feelings so much that you're actually not thinking about what you want actually for yourself. When actually, if you was a bit more selfish and not worrying about what they're gonna do, it's like you got to realize that they're adults and they're big men as well. They know how to speak for themselves. You just got to be a bit more selfish at this time. I think you just need to be, because otherwise, think about everyone else's feelings. You're just not gonna get what you want because you're so scared of actually saying what Connor wants.
Yeah. I think that
it's been a therapy session about you.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, this is like turned into a therapy session for me. It's not even like...
Yeah, but it's good for the person to understand, like, you know, I think it's good for everyone to understand not enough people speak about sex. And I think you're right with, like, I look at casual sex as being a bit like, yeah, you know, if you're single, why not? But then you got to, if you think about the other person's feeling, are they catching feelings? Are you upsetting them? You're right. And is it making you feel a certain way? I don't think you should label yourself a slut. I don't think you should put any negative words around it. I think you should kind of look at how it's making you feel and then make a decision from there. You know, test the waters, go sleep with a few people. But if you're feeling a certain way, you got to ask internal questions.
Well, the word slut is being reclaimed now as a good thing, because, you know, the word slut historically has been negative because it's always, throughout history, been a negative thing to have a lot of sex, right? Maybe not throughout the whole of history. In the Roman times, I know that, you know, it was very, different. You know, they loved an orgy. But, you know, more recent times, slut's been a bad thing. Whereas now people are going, actually, it's not a bad thing. And so there's a book, I think I've spoken about this in the podcast before, The Ethical Slut.
Ethical Slut, yeah.
Right. So I read that because I wanted to understand whether I could be an ethical slut. And I definitely learned how to become more aware of like what I want from somebody and whether that person also knows that's what I want and whether they want the same thing. And so it brought more awareness around that. But I didn't sort of like do enough of the work of the book to get to a place where I felt like, you know, I could have sex really frequently and be okay with that. And that's why I think it's really important to circle back to what I said at the start of this question. There is no universal answer to what healthy a healthy sex life is. It is so personal. And a healthy sex life for you could look like only having sex in a relationship, because you may have a terrible relationship with sex in the past. It's really triggering. Or maybe that's your values as a religious person, to only have sex in a relationship. It may be that actually a healthy sex life for you is you have sex with, you have an orgy once a week, because that gives you so much satisfaction. You come away from it feeling so empowered and so positive, and you absolutely loved it, and you can't wait to organize the next one. You know, very two polar opposite things that can actually be healthy. And I think it's down to how you feel afterwards, and also what your intention is for having that in the first place, you know?
I think it's interesting. People will probably look at you and think, this good-looking gay guy runs a big gay run club community, probably shagging everyone and getting them all, like, you know. And then to hear like your experience, it's like it's probably good for a lot of people, because it ain't easy out there. You know what I mean? It ain't easy. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think you answered it quite well in that last part of like, you're right. It's got to be, you know, how it's making you feel. I think reclaiming the word slut is quite a good thing. I think trying to be a bit more positive about it and worry how it's making you feel internally, but don't think about like what it's looking like externally.
Yeah.
Because no one else's business what you're doing.
I think, to summarize, if it feels compulsive and uncontrolled, then I think that there's sort of a place to start. I think ask what you actually want from sex, and really just be aware of not just the sexual experience itself, but the process of organizing it. Does that feel compulsive, or does it feel like something you're enjoying doing, really taking your time to find the right person, like all of that? Or does it feel like you just something just to get over and done with? And yeah, how do you feel afterwards? I actually had a therapist who was also a sexologist, so I, you know, did a lot of work with him, and I would always recommend like having therapists that are specific to exactly what causes you the most tension, rather than a generalist. Find somebody that's specific. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. So let's do pump and dump. Pepe, you were doing so good. Sit down, my boy. You're a good boy. So they're all sex related. Ready? Pump and dump number 1, sending nudes.
Pump.
Okay, I wonder whether you would be a dump on that.
No, pump.
Oh, you're into a pump. Okay,
yeah,
great.
I think even like if you're in a relationship, send nudes. Like,
yeah.
Get it going.
Would you not be bored of seeing Caitlin's?
No, you don't understand. When you get to a level of marriage, I mean, I just look at Caitlin, I'm turned on straight away. Yeah, there's not a moment that I'm not.
2, hooking up with an ex.
Oh, dump. Yeah,
I'm
I think the ex is for a reason, and you may like the sex you had, but again, you might just want to get it in. They might thinking it's back on, and there's nothing worse than you came and then you're looking at your ex and they're going, "Oh my, what are we doing tomorrow?"
Oh God, what went on? 3, keeping your socks on.
Dump.
Oh, really? I'm such a pump.
Yeah, because you keep your socks on in yoga.
Yeah. I just think like, I think it's like white sport socks, you know, against really nice calves and legs. I think that's so sexy anyway.
That is so wrong.
No.
That is like them old school pornos where the black guys used to wear Timberland boots.
Did they?
Yeah, you'd probably like a bit of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I also, if I'm having sex with somebody else and, you know, let's say they take off their socks and the feet ain't nice, like that's all I'm going to be looking at. I'm not looking in their eyes. I'm looking if that toe's coming anywhere near me.
So mental.
Keeping socks on. Pump. 4, scheduling sex.
Pump. If you are in a long-term relationship, schedule that shit in.
I think even if you're single, schedule it in.
I think if you're single, I don't know, like if you're single, you don't need to schedule it in with anyone because it doesn't need to be booked with anyone. Like you can book it with yourself, but as a long-term relationship, like if you do not prioritize when you're having sex, you're going to fall behind. And here's one thing I listened to the other day on a podcast. Stop having sex in the evening at bedtime. It's the worst time to have sex.
Really? Why?
Yeah. You're tired. You're getting into bed. Last thing you can think about is I've got to I've shagged this person. I'm knackered. All I think, you getting into bed, you think about what time you get up in the morning.
Right.
Where if you can have sex lunchtime.
Right. Okay. I was going to say not morning.
I mean, I'm a morning guy. I mean, not really a morning guy, but lunchtime, just go get it in. Like you got more energy. In the evening, if you're just waiting to get there, and also if that's your routine, it's routined.
Well, that's why I didn't have sex for so long, because I finished work at 7 p.m. and then I cooked dinner from 7 till 7:30. Then I watched TV from 7:30 to 8:30. Then 8:30 I stretched till 8:50, and then I have a shower and get ready for bed. So because I'm on such a strict schedule in the evening, like nobody's going to come out in the evening and have sex then. And then obviously Saturdays I work until the evening, and then I'm so exhausted after run club that I just collapse on the sofa for the rest of the day. Like I don't feel like anybody wants to touch me. And then Sunday's the only day that I really have off. And so because I wasn't scheduling sex in, I wasn't having sex. So I feel like Sunday is going to be sexy Sundays for me now, and I'm going to start scheduling it in on Sundays.
Yeah.
5, asking for feedback.
Pump.
Okay.
I did this recently.
With Caitlin, yeah. Well, obviously.
No, with you. We had to talk about what you want, what you enjoy, what you don't like. And it is, if you get over the first part of the few bits that you thought you're nailing and you're not,
no,
it's fantastic.
I'm gonna ask Caitlin what she said she didn't like,
because then also you're not guessing.
Yeah,
I reckon in a relationship or in any kind of friendship, relationship, whatever's going on, take the guesswork out.
Yeah,
because the guesswork causes anxiety. It's like when you're not getting replies on your text, causes anxiety, causes you to make up a whole fucking story that don't even exist. Same with sex. Take the guesswork out. Figure out what that person wants, what's working for him, what you want, how you like it. What turns you on? Because you might be thinking, oh God, we never have sex. They just never feel up for it. It's because it might be the way you're trying to turn them on. Just might not be working for them.
What if it's like a hookup and you've only had sex once and then they're just putting their shoes on and to leave and you're just like, do you mind if it just
No, because different people have different vibes. That person could be like, I didn't like you when you went down on me, and the other person could love going.
Right, okay. So no feedback if it's a hookup. Feedback if it's a regular.
It's getting if you're getting a few months in and you're having regular sex, having a feedback session. One, next time you have sex, off the chain.
Game changer.
Because now you're in tune, you know what each one wants. And 2, takes out the guesswork. So yeah, feedback. Schedule it, feedback.
Keep your socks on.
Keep your socks off.
That was Losses and Games with your boy Connor.
Leave it next.
If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment, please. We'd love to know if you enjoyed it. If you're on Spotify, leave us a comment. Give us a follow. You know you want to. And where else can people watch it? Apple. I don't even use Apple.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, I think we get more people from Apple than we do Spotify. But
really?
Yeah. Can you leave a comment on Apple? I don't know. Give us a follow. Love ya.